Right. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today is a hell of a day. I've got two Royal Enfield Bears. I've got a pair of Bears, two Bear, and they've just been delivered. Here's Midwest Moto. I was coming past the other day. We went out for a walk with Suze, and we came past, and I saw option 249 with the teal frame outside on the way back. So I quickly popped in and said, "Oh, is it ready? Is it ready to ride? Is it ready to ride?" And they said, "No, we've just got to PDI it, but we'll get it ready, and then you can come up and have a go on it." And so it's the following day. I've now got this one totally ready to go, and also this bike here just to show you both colours basically. So I don't really even need to introduce the Bear. It's the bike that everyone's been excited about from Royal Enfield. Oh, is that camera going to be in your way?
Yeah.
I can move it.
I want to knock it over, it looks expensive.
Yeah, I'll just move it out of the way quickly. We'll do a close-up.
I'm more interested in looking at that at the moment. My brother's after one. So.
Yeah, they are nice to be fair.
In that colour, aren't they?
That option 249.
He doesn't race, he rides vintage Bianchi motorbikes. Push bikes, so that's virtually the Bianchi colour.
Yeah.
It's that baby blue.
Yeah. Stunning.
Right, I'll get out of your way.
You might have just inadvertently given me a better camera shot, actually. Here we go. Yeah, that works. Right, we've adjusted. I'll just wait for this Audi S3 to leave. Right, the car park has now emptied. So what I was saying is, the Bear basically needs no introduction. It's probably the bike that people are most excited about from Royal Enfield. I was much a fan of the 350s, and I'd kind of fallen out of love a little bit with the 650s, because obviously the Inti and the Continental were there, and then you had the Super Meteor, which I really liked, but then the Shotgun and the classic 650, they're all the same frame, suspension, engine as the Super Meteor, and I just kind of like, I don't know, they didn't excite me that much. And then the Bear was announced, the spy shots came out, and I realised that it's actually interceptor frame, but with all of the goodness of the newer bikes in the Royal Enfield range. So if you compare this to an Interceptor, it's actually dramatically different. Yeah, it's still 648cc parallel twin, 6-speed, but there's more torque. There's 56.5 Newton meters on here, and all of the nice goodies of the newer 650s are all on this bike. So you've got the Showa suspension, 130 millimeters of travel though at the front here. You got this very fancy gloss black polished switchgear, the Coke bottle handlebar grips, LED headlights, and then also you've got the Himalayan and the Gorillas display, which if I got the key somewhere I'll just turn on, because that is also a bit of a peach. When you boot it, I say boot it, it's like a computer, isn't it, done on the TFT. It says Interceptor Bear 650 there, it's just so swish. Some people were saying, oh, I wish we didn't have the TFT, should have the Interceptor twin dials. But when you see it in real life, it's mint. It's got the chrome ring around, it looks really classy. The Royal Enfield's in the old text that you should have been able to see up there. It doesn't look like just a LCD TFT bolted on there like a cheap afterthought. It looks the part, it really does. Levers as well are quite nice, and then you've got obviously the 2-into-1 exhaust system, which is a bit of a defining feature of the Bear. Now I was a little bit worried that 2-into-1 would mean you lose that stereo sound that you get in the Shotgun and you get in the Super Meteor, that kind of like thrumming bass, but I've turned it on. It actually doesn't sound that bad having 2-into-1. And then you've got these little heat shields down here, which is a nice touch as well. And yeah, tyres, big old mud guard there to stop stuff getting flung up from the bottom of the tyre. The tyres themselves are, I think it says MRF. They look a little bit like Pirelli Scorpion Rallies with the block pattern. And that's quite good because it means that you can lean the bike over on the road and you still get quite a lot of contact, but you still got gaps to allow it to grip on the rougher stuff. So overall it looks the part. The seat's nice as well. It's like this, almost like a matte finish, but it's textured. It just has this kind of air of quality to it that we haven't yet seen before on Royal Enfield, if we're completely honest. How do I expect it to ride? I think it'll ride basically like big old Interceptor. I do know that the engine has changed a little bit since the early Interceptors, so it's still the same displacement, but if you're expecting this to ride like a 2019, 2020 Interceptor 650, it just won't. There's something about the mapping in the newer bikes that makes them feel more urgent in the pickup, especially the shotgun. That feels pretty rapid. And I think they've done the same thing to the Bear. Remapped it, put 2-into-1 on there, and then you get a little bit more torque and a little bit more urgency when you open the throttle. So yeah, I mean, overall this is a lovely, lovely thing. I mean, little touches I just noticed. You got Royal Enfield logo there in the mirror. It's just mint. It is really, really nice. One thing that's great about Royal Enfield, let me go over to the other bike just to continue the talking point. But one good thing about Royal Enfields is, just while I move this around, is the finish, the paintwork. It's all so beautifully done these days. Like the paint's very deep, lustrous, glossy. Everything's, any stickers under the lacquer. You got the option of the big badges on the premium models, or you've got the retro stickers, which again are under lacquer, so nice quality touch. Everything about them, the materials, the seats, the indicators, I mean, they're still plastic, but they're all LED now. A big round tail light, which adds to the retro charm of this bike. And then of course on this one you've got the gold forks, which some people won't like, but I think they actually suit the bike. And this one does look quite premium. Very cool. You've got this little stylized bear logo in the tank, which is another nice touch. And the filler cap, that's really cool as well. So there's a lot to like about this bike. So we'll get it out, get it on the road and see what it's like to ride. Here we go, first ride on probably one of the bikes I've been most excited about in ages. So we found the starter, side stands up. Let's just tap it into first. Goes in with a swift and reassuring clunk. Now, first things to note, the Bear feels tall. It doesn't have that high a seat height, but the seat is wide, so I'm not flat-footed, or just about. If I'm sort of straining, I'm flat-footed, and I am 5'10", so I'm kind of average height. Wow. So off we go into second. This beautifully clean bike is now going to be totally ruined on UK roads in winter, as the 650cc engine whirs into life. Indicators lovely in operation. Just the rear brake. Bear in mind this bike's got 1 mile on it, so I won't be doing anything too stupid. 1 mile. Yeah, if you kind of duck leg out, like put your feet out to an angle, you can get flat-footed on this at my height. I've got a relatively short inside leg, 30 inches, so... Oh, come on, don't pull out in front of me, and I'm test riding a new bike. So you might find it easy to flat foot, or if you're shorter than me, you might be on tippy toes. I'm kind of uncomfortably flat footing this bike, just about at push. I mean, maybe that's not important to you, but I like to have a bike, as I get older, I just like to have a firm, stable platform when I'm moving the bike around. Talking of firm, the seat's fairly firm. You're thinking, did they not learn from the Interceptor? Did they not learn? Royal Enfield, I want a bloody sofa-like seat that you sink into, please. No, but the seat is wide. It's a lot wider at this point than the Interceptors, which is probably why, even though the seat height is not much higher, it feels like you're further away from the floor because it's a wider seat. And a wider seat is actually a more comfortable seat, so we should be thankful for that, to be honest. I think they do a low seat height option on this bike as well, which I'll have to investigate. Right, I do need to stop for fuel because they've literally put 3 litres in there. It is a 13.7 litre tank, which is meant to give you, I think, a range of about 200 miles. But I'll pull in here and I'll put some E5 into it. Right, I'll go into the cover in case it starts raining again, and I'll meet you guys after this little fuel stop.
And I fluff that because we're on the wrong side. It's all diesel. All diesel. I'll see you guys after the top up. Right, we're going to be taking it very easy today because I got rain coming down. I got brand new out of a crate motorcycle with brand new tyres, and I just run over some spilt petrol and diesel at the fuel station, so it would be foolhardy for me to push it on this bike for the time being. Right, let me tell you. Ooh, standing up's nice. They definitely thought about that. Really, really nice to stand up on this bike. The throttle feels beautiful as well. I haven't done my slow speed test, but we will get to that. But initially, just rolling on the throttle, you got this wave of torque. Remember, you're at 56.5 Newton meters. Yeah, surges forward. Bloody hell, I picked the worst day for this, didn't I? Way! And it's telling me to change up. So I'll go up into fourth. One of those bikes that you could probably ride it in fourth all day long, really. Nice little bit of torque, slow it down. Let's see what it does coming up this hill now. So we'll slow down to just below 30. Yeah, see, it's not lugging or anything. There's a hell of a difference between a 450 with the Gorilla and the Hemi, and then a 650. And watch this now, 25 mile an hour. You probably have to go to 20 to get it to really struggle. Yeah, 20 up a hill in fourth, 30, 37, 40, 46. Up you go. And then let's just snick it up into fifth. Getting a bit of wind noise, but not the fault of the bike because there is no windscreen. And then sixth at 60, and we're doing just under 4,000 RPM. Probably 4,000 RPM is 60 in top. I'll just drop down through the gears because there's no one behind me. I'll go fourth, and we'll put the revs a little bit higher up, see if we get any unpleasant vibes. So I've got a little bit of a S-bend here. I'll get around that, and on the straight I'll drop down and we'll see if we got any vibes. Right, okay, drop down, no one behind me. 5,000, 6,000. I got nothing. I got no unpleasantness in the mirrors. A little bit in the pegs, but it's a brand new bike, so I don't go any higher than that. I just don't feel it's fair on the engine. But I didn't get anything bad in the mirrors or the bars. A little bit in the pegs at 6,000. I don't really want to take it any higher than that. The bike's got 4 miles on it. Right. Brakes probably not even bed in yet, so again, not really a fair assessment, but yeah, the front's got some bite. Single disc, yeah, single disc at the front. It'll be a Byberry unit, 280 or 300 millimeters, 270 on the rear. Try and keep this clean for you guys. Right, no one's behind me. Let's do the little slow speed test. 1 mile an hour, I'll indicate so that. Right, this is the test, right? Bloody hell, it's smooth. Yeah. The on off the throttle, right? It's smooth, yeah. I don't remember the 650 engine or the 350 being anywhere near bad on off jerkiness, but it certainly isn't in the case of the Bear. I was riding a Triumph a couple of days ago and that was jerky even at 30 miles an hour in the higher gears, on and off. It's really something you've got to be careful about. Luckily the Royal Enfield doesn't seem to be afflicted with that particular Euro 5 ailment. I also rode the Himalayan as well recently, and I remember that one of these buttons up here, you hold it down and it changes the screen. It's very similar to the Himalayan and the Gorilla. And you got a little joypad here which you can flick through or press home. Go on, go back. I prefer that one with the big rev counter. Right, we're at this junction. I always stop at this junction because it's a little bit on a slope down towards my left, and so it's a good test of stability on a bike. This bike is a little bit tall. I can just about get both feet flat, but not totally comfortably. So for me, if I'm really honest, it has been a bit fussy, but that does count against it. Lovely and smooth, just picking up through the lower gears. Like it's a joy. It's a joy to ride. And the thrumming of the engine, I'm enjoying that. As I said before, not quite shotgun levels of stereo harmony, but it is still nice. And the advantage of the 2-into-1 is you've got the extra torque, haven't you? So just nip up to 40. Yeah, off you go. Now the tyres I've got on are probably 80-20 road off-road. I haven't heard of them before, but they do have the Pirelli Scorpion Rally kind of block pattern. So you're thinking, if I was to ride in mud like that, all built up in that verge or in there that's thick mud, probably be spinning the rear wheel. I don't know. It's not gotten full on knobblies to bite into it. Over dry ground, rocks and that kind of thing, it'd be fine. But really what you're gaining is the on-road performance. It's a better bike on-road because you got these tyres. The other thing to consider while I was talking about the down there is the 19-inch front, which will a little bit adversely affect the handling compared to something like the Gorilla with a 17-inch. That said, 19 is kind of a nice middle ground normally, because you don't really feel the effect of a bigger wheel like you do on a 21, but you do get the option to put nice off-road rubber on there. You get a wide choice of tyres for a 19-inch wheel. Also, it is a little bit beneficial when you're going over rocks and stuff. A little bit of a bigger wheel goes a long way. I'll slow down here. That's a nice house, isn't it? Very nice. Rider's view is pretty much perfect, to be honest, because with this lovely handlebar brace, the chrome looks immaculate, or is it polished alloy? I can't tell, but it's stunning. That is mint. There's nothing you can pick at that. Yeah, some people have said dual clocks. Just ignore that. I think that's really, really nice as it is. It's as best a retro TFT as you could get. So if you just don't want a TFT, then fine. But it's circular. It's surrounded in chrome. It's got retro text underneath, and it's got the information you need. It's not cluttered. It's not futuristic. It's really good. Other bits in the rider's view, man. This, I always say it, but these switchgear covers or kind of casings, which are alloy and they're done in a gloss powder coat or something like that. They're absolutely stunning. They're better than Triumph. They're just really, really nice. I could look at those all day long. Mirrors, they're a bit basic, a bit nothing. You can see out of them okay, and as I said before, don't vibrate. Got a little Royal Enfield logo in them for the touches, and then of course the grips. These are the premium grips with the Royal Enfield in them as well. Levers, let me tell you about the levers. They're not just the sort of normal basic part spin levers. They're sort of like retro looking. They're sort of rounded. All the sharp edges have been sort of got off them, and the adjustment is a little knob at the front. It just makes it look more retro. Just sort of adds up to being a little bit more interesting than sort of a bargain basement entry level bike. But then again, let's test the horn. Oh, didn't realise he was going to come around the corner. Try it when there's no cars coming. Not bad, is it? But then again, I was just thinking before I got distracted by the horn. It is a bike that's 6,749, so it's kind of at the top or near the top. I think the Super Meteor might be the top, but it's near the top of Royal Enfield's pricing structure. So even if you have the prim and proper one, I think this one's one of the premium ones, then you're at 6,949. I want to say it's basically £7,000, the thick end of £7,000, aren't you? So that's quite a lot for a Royal Enfield. This isn't a sort of £3,500 Meteor purchase that's sort of almost throwaway. And I'm saying that in the context of who this video is going out to. It's going out to mainly sort of older British people. They built up their wealth, they got a collection of motorbikes, and they think, I know, I'm going to fancy adding a Royal Enfield to it. And for those people, £3,500 is not a lot of money to spend. When you're talking about spending £7,000, for Royal Enfield, they're not going to get as many sales because obviously it's a bigger purchasing decision. But you've got to do a value prop for every time you look at a bike and think, what do I get from it? What are the features I want? What's the performance like? And then once you've done that, it all comes down to gut feeling, the fit and finish, whether you think it's worth your money and whether you like it, basically. And Royal Enfield have hammered, really hammered the fit and finish, try and make it as good as possible. Like, they're really, really working hard to get everything. Make sure I've got no water on the screen. Just to get everything prim and proper and nice. I would go as far as to say it's probably the nicest Royal Enfield yet. Obviously, it is equal to the Super Meteor and Shotgun stylistically and kind of with the quality of the componentry, the showers and the LEDs and the TFTs and the switch gears and all that, and the paint finish. But where the Bear pulls ahead is probably style. It's undeniably cool. Well, I think you should definitely count that. This the other bikes are cool, but the Bear is just something else. For me, anyway. I mean, this is where it gets into subjective opinions, doesn't it? Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. Cancel those indicators, lads. You know it makes sense. I'm not indicating, but I'm still going to press the button. Beep, beep, beep. Right. Rear brake's a little bit weak, but then we are on a bike with 9 miles on it, so pads probably haven't even bedded in yet. Oh, I'm coming into a 30. Slow down. Drop through the gears. Gearbox has a nice reassuring clunk. I would say it's probably a little bit more, it's in or out of gear, rather than the Himalayan, the Sherpa motor, which is a 40 horsepower, also a 6-speed, but this one feels a little bit more of a reassuring clunk when it goes into gear. A little bit more Harley-esque, although not as much of a clunk as that bike, but still a little bit more towards that. Now I'm getting off a bike that has a lot of torque and a lot of character, single cylinder BSA 650, so I'm pleased to say that the Bear retains a lot of the character, even though we've gone from a single to a twin. It just feels nice. I'd even say it's a little bit more characterful than the Triumph that I rode recently, which is it was a 1200 twin. Obviously that's got way more power, but it doesn't quite feel as sort of alive as this bike. I'll tell you, Royal Enfield and BSA are kind of nipping at Triumph's heels, not in quality, but in terms of what the feeling they give the owners. Man, you can still have fun on this bike. If you want to go fast though, the Shotgun's the one. Shotgun, I said this before and everybody laughed at me, but the Shotgun's the sport bike of Royal Enfield range. And no, before anybody misquotes me, I don't mean it's R1 sports bike or 5-lane. I mean, for Royal Enfield, you can throw that bike through the bends because of the wheel sizes, the riding position, the suspension setup. Whereas this bike, it feels a bit taller, it feels a little bit more, you're kind of up high, aren't you? It's more, for me, it's more of a plodder. I'm sure there's someone out there who's a way better rider than I am who can throw this bike around fast through the corners, but it doesn't feel like to me that it wants you to do that. It feels like a Sunday bike, a pub bike that you could also go on some forest track with. Just stand up. Yeah, standing up's really good on this bike. They've obviously designed that with trails in mind, because the standing position's almost as comfortable as sitting. No word of a lie. Oi! Nice bit of bend here. Alright, drag the rear brake a little bit. Yeah, very good, very good. Now we're coming to the section of the road that, if you guys remember watching earlier on my channel, was under 3 or 4 feet of water. So as you can see, the mud's still not totally gone. We'll take it easy. Now, how tempted am I to sort of take the bike up into that verge, which is basically a quagmire? I think that would be taking the pee a little bit too much, taking the bike back caked in mud. Every single part of it, the wiring loom and shocks and chain dripping in thick caked on mud. We're not going to do that, although that is a wide open field there, almost tempting me to go in. I'm not going to today. So let's talk about the riding position, because obviously there's going to be some people who want to tour and stuff on this bike. Now, you don't have cruise. That's not related to the riding position, is it? I lost my thought a little bit, but we'll get back to the cruise. Yeah, with the riding position, it's kind of similar to the Interceptor to me. I think the bars are probably a little bit wider. Feet are very neutral, over a 90-degree bend in the knee. I'm a little bit canted forward, whereas on the BSA it's very much a 1960s bike. You're bolt upright, you know, you could be wearing an anorak and a like a horse riding helmet. It's that much of an old school ride. This is a little bit more modern, a little bit more cool, sporty, and you are canted forward a little bit over the bars. But overall it's comfortable. Like, I'm not getting any problem really. Obviously if I start going faster and faster and faster, I'm going to get more wind blast. Nothing you can do about that. I don't find riding naked bikes above 70 that comfortable, and that applies for whatever the bike is really. And we talked about the seat. If you're tall, you'll be able to, and we know who I'm thinking of, our friend in Suffolk. If you're tall, you'll be able to scoot back on the seat, which is nice, and then you've obviously got long arms to reach the bars, unlike me. The seat's okay. Seat's probably a little bit firmer than I thought it'd be. Yeah, it is nice. Good view in the mirrors. Imagine the accessories you'll be able to buy for this bike though. Royal Enfield just are amazing at accessories, and Hitchcocks and the aftermarket. You'll be able to bar end mirrors, there'll be a little Royal Enfield thing there. You'll be able to have headlight guards, bash plates, crash protection, genuine luggage, wax canvas. This thing's you're gonna be able to dress this thing up to the nines, aren't you? If that's your thing. So it's gonna be a bike that's gonna be really fun to own, I'd say. Let me touch on the suspension quickly. What we got 130 at the front, got the shower, separate fork function. At the back we've only got 115 at the back, so this bike isn't really going to be an off-roader to my mind. You're going to be able to do a little bit of trails on it, a little bit of a muddy campsite here and there, but I don't think you're going to be doing what I did in the Picos on it and truly enjoying it. And that, coupled with the fact that it weighs 214 kilos with 90% fuel, it's not really a lightweight trail bike kind of vibe, if we're honest. It's very cool looking, and you could do a little bit of gravel track work on it, but I don't think you could do anything with big rocks and that. Change the tyres and it'll go through anything, because you've got a torquey 6-speed 650cc parallel twin. But when it comes to really gnarly rocky stuff, you need a bit more give in the suspension. I'm actually feeling a little bit even through the potholes on the road. Whenever you hear my voice go, "Ugh," that's something on the road. I've noticed that when I'm trying to give some kind of dialogue, I go over bumps and I'm like, yeah, that isn't me just having a fit. That's to do with riding the bike and trying to speak at the same time. I mean, if this bike had better tyres, like worn in, I'd probably blast around here just to see what it's like. That's a lovely sweeping bend. But yeah, so you're not really going to be using this bike too much off-road, really. I don't think it would thank you for it. But on road, and for the odd little excursion, it's proven to be a very lovely bike indeed. You join me in Leominster. We're just going to give where we are just going to give the bear a little tear about the hair. No, we're just going to give the bear a little bit of a urban conditions test. So what it's like in a city, or if you're coming into traffic or whatnot. There's some lights up here which are going red, so you're nice and high up, big view, you can see everything. You can see cars pulling out and that kind of thing. You think you are quite visible as well, you feel quite visible. You got obviously a very bright coloured bike, nice bright LED headlights and stuff. Just drop down through the gears, which comes quite easily. Here, if we're stopping and starting in traffic, you've got to get used to the fact that it's a fairly wide seat, so just bear in mind if you're not particularly tall, when you stop at lights and stuff, you've got to keep that in mind. Clutch is fairly light, so that when you're starting and stopping, it's not that tiresome. I've got no heat from the engine or anything like that, which is sometimes uncomfortable on bigger engine bikes. And then just let the clutch out slowly, just be a little bit thoughtful with it. Round the corner, turning circle on this bike is quite shallow, so I think if you were to park it up or be moving it off the bike, manoeuvring your bike from a stationary position, it will take a few turns because the steering angle, lock to lock, isn't that much. The thrum from the exhaust pipes, quite inoffensive. If anything, I think an aftermarket pipe could probably improve the exhaust note a little bit. But you see there, it's not like jerky or anything. I'm in first gear here at 17 miles an hour. It's a little bit fast for first, but it's not jerky or anything. Second has got a nice spread as well, so it's just fairly pleasing really to ride around town. Obviously my brakes haven't bedded in yet, but yeah, drop through the gears, indicator switch, tap that a few times, tap tap tap. It's all present and correct really. This suspension needs to bed in though. So I think I'll have to come back and ride this bike when it's got a few more miles on it. It was her right away there, but was it? No, it's one of those things where everybody waits and no one knows who's going to come out first. Freeway roundabout. Yeah, good visibility in the mirrors for urban environment. Yeah, overall, not a bad bike for about town. Very cool looking bike for about town as well. I think that's one of the things I'm going to have to put in my conclusions for the Bear. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool. Probably the coolest Royal Enfield in the lineup, I'd have to say. Especially option 249. Right. Oh, never had this come down before. In all my time of riding through Leominster, I've never seen a train come through here, or I've got stuck by it. But I'm not about to test the theory and nip around. Oh, spoke too slow, just as I spoke. Didn't have much time, did you, between the lights coming down and the train appearing? Lights and the barriers and whatnot. Right, off we go. I do tend to look either side just to check there's not another train. I'm a bit paranoid like that. Right, that's the urban test done, and the Bear passed with flying colours.
Right, I've arrived back at Midwest Moto after taking the Bear out on over 60-mile test ride. It's such an important bike. I know there's huge anticipation for it, so I didn't want to just sort of whip it around the block, come back in 10 miles or so. I've been out for 60 miles for an hour and a half, and it's a bloody lovely bike. I think the main thing about the Bear is the aesthetics. It rides to me, which contradicts what I said at the start a little bit. It kind of rides like a big Interceptor. It's got the same kind of upright, it just feels like an Interceptor to me. I mean, I'm sure someone will say the foot pegs, the geometry, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it feels kind of Interceptor-ish. The engine does feel torquey, and it's so smooth, the roll on. That's really, really nice. No jerkiness at all in the throttle. It's quite a neutral riding position, but with a little bit of a canter forward. The vibrations are good. I did get it up to 70, gently took it up to 70 because you know this bike is brand new, and I didn't have vibration, which is really good because that means that you could cruise at 70 miles an hour, do some long distances, and it wouldn't be uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, overall, I was a little bit nervous on the tyres because they're not run in yet, and I'm not that familiar with the brand, and the roads are horrible. It's a brand new bike, and etc, etc. So I feel if you want a bike to sort of go out for a blast, then the Shotgun is probably more your bike. And if you want a bike for more off-road work, then it's obviously the Himalayan. Because I took the Himalayan out just 3 or 4 days ago, and I found that was more forgiving on UK roads. The state of UK roads is so bad after this winter. And the Himalayan is more forgiving in that environment because you've got longer suspension travel. Obviously you've got quality suspension here. I think given dry conditions and a run-in bike, I'd be more confident throwing it through the bends. But the Shotgun is sort of like squat, lower down. That feels like a bit of a B-road blaster. Whereas this feels like a little bit taller, a little bit more Interceptor-like. The problem is that this one is ultimately probably the best looking Royal Enfield to date, especially in option 249. When you got the off-white, that kind of sagey green there, like an aqua, it's just stunning. The engine they've done up as well. The Royal Enfield has gone back to the traditional stamp, not that big R logo. The exhaust, lovely little 2-into-1 with heat shields in the right place. It's just, everything about it is so well finished. A couple of other things, the steering turning circle is quite wide. You'd have to do quite a few turns to get it round. I think that's to aid stability going through the bends and that, so obviously you gain a little bit of stability when you're on the bike, but it's a little bit harder to manoeuvre when you're off the bike. That grab rail at the back, that's a handy thing. I love this grab rail because you can really sort of get the bike and grip it and move it about and so on. So that's a nice thing to have. And then the seat, it's better than the Interceptor seat, but it is quite wide here. So let me just get on it and just show you. So you see, I am flat-footed in fairness, but that's where my feet are. So I've got that little bend in the knee. So yeah, the seat is wider, I think, than the Interceptor seat, which if you look at the Interceptor seat, it's sort of quite narrow. What else about this little puppy? Very, very stylish, as I said, like it's the looks that sell it. And you've got premium components with the shower. The instruments here, the handlebar controls and switchgear is just Triumph level. This instrument cluster, odometer, brilliant. People don't worry about that. It's offset or what, and it's TFT. It suits the bike. It suits the bike. I wouldn't worry about having twin analog clocks. I think that's absolutely fine. Some of the touches, like I talked about in the intro, with the little Bear logo there, it's just a beaut, isn't it? You've got the right tyre sizes. I'd probably change the tyres, dare I say it, but that's your choice, isn't it? Imagine this with knobblies on it. It would look like a hell of a bike. Long mudguard. Let's just have a little look, see how much stuff is sprayed out. Oh, I've got it everywhere, but that's probably because of the splashing through puddles and stuff. But you have got a long mud guard there. Obviously it's air and oil cooled, which is really good. Keeps that like nice aesthetic, which people don't like the BSA behind me, because you've got that water or coolant radiator there, whereas this is an oil cooler, which is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Oil filter bang on the front of the engine, so that really aids the home mechanic. If you want to just unscrew that, change the oil, that's a lot easier than taking covers off and going inside the engine behind the covers like you have to do on the BSA to get to the oil filter. Obviously the other stuff about Royal Enfield is you got a good dealer network, dealer support. They're a brand that's all over the world, a huge company, puts out almost 1 million bikes a year. They've got that extensive R&D, the products are quality, the warranty support, the parts supply. Like, you're going to get looked after if you invest in a Royal Enfield, where some of the smaller and more newer brands, it's not as guaranteed. So I think that's one of the advantages of getting into the stuff, and I'm starting to talk about this more and more now, but the stuff that's around the outside of just the motorcycle. Because if anything goes wrong, you want to just be able to get it sorted and rectified quickly. And you're more likely to be able to do that with Enfield, being a big brand. Oh, one thing I didn't show you when I went to the petrol station. It's like a proper chunky filler cap. And then when you want to put it back on, it just goes on really easily, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's a bit of a side note. I just like the filler cap. Man, it is a stunner. It is a stunner. I think this is now 95% of Triumph level with the quality. If you got, say, you got a Scrambler 900, something like that. Oh, it's cold out here today. Scrambler 900, what's that? 60 or 70 horsepower. Smooth bike, but then it's going to be a little bit heavier. This is 214 kilos. So this is competitive with that now. I'm starting to think that these new Royal Enfields, they're almost scraping at Triumph level. So anyway guys, I'll stop rabbiting on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I've done a fair test of the Bear, but let me know what you think, and yeah, just please ask me any questions, anything about it. I'll try and answer as best I can. My pick from the Royal Enfield range, I'm still a 350 fanboy, but I'm also weirdly drawn to the 450 Himalayan. But I'm still a Meteor fanboy through and through. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.